So people have asked us, what's Dyadic, where the name come from, why Dyadic, how long you've been in business. It's kind of an interesting story. So the name came from, Dyadic means two-way communication. In the past, I was a journalism major, so if you don't communicate with somebody, nobody gets the message. My message gets put out, they don't hear it, they hear it differently, so you have to learn how to do that. It's interesting because it works today, even as a company as a biotech. Because if the gene sequence doesn't communicate with the cell, you don't get a vaccine. It doesn't come out, or it comes out in too small of a quantity. So dyadic, the two-way communication, in this case is genes and cells communicating to create cures for disease. COVID-19 is a great example. We could take a gene, put it in the cell. If it doesn't come out in sufficient quantities, patients suffer. There's not enough doses. Luckily for us, we've been able to take the gene sequence, put it in the cell, and massive amounts of quantities came out. And that's what we're working on with the Israelis and the Israeli Institute of Biological Research, producing a COVID-19 vaccine candidate at extremely high levels, low cost, that can be produced globally into billions of doses monthly, in addition with the Europeans and other programs we have. So those are the things that people ask, well, what does dyadic mean? What dyadic means is two-way communication. In this case, it's a sequence put into a cell. If they communicate together, out comes a product at high levels at low cost, affordably. And so in addition to all of that, we're a 41-year-old company that's evolved from the blue gene business to the genetic genes. People say that's kind of crazy, and how do you go from blue genes to genetic genes? Well, you wouldn't think it's possible, but it did. So sometimes, I guess, life is stranger than fiction. And in this particular case, we started selling pumice stones to Levi, Guess, and Wrangler, and pioneered the stonewash gene business in the 80s. Enzymes came to replace the pumice in the process. We started to make enzymes. We then hired a bunch of Russian scientists when the wall fell in Russia in the early 90s. We identified this C1 fungal cell because it would produce an enzyme to wash blue genes. Well, what do blue gene enzymes have to do with drugs? The cell line is the same cell line 2.5 decades later, that we've evolved, we've improved, we've developed it to mass produce things at extremely large scale at very low cost. And now we're just tweaking it. We're moving it from the industrial biotech to the pharmaceutical industry for animal and human health. And so we're at the right time in history, at the right moment, to disrupt the biological production of healthcare for vaccines and drugs. And it couldn't have come at a better time, because COVID-19 came, which is a major epidemic and a pandemic, and we're here to help. And our technology is here at the right time, at the right place, and it's delivering on its promise. And our promise to you is that we're going to do our best to work with as many players on the globe to make sure we can help eradicate this horrific disease and prolong life and reduce pain and suffering in the process.